And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another round of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter here again, once more with my good friends Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, guys?
About as good as the Mavericks.
Yes, so we're all doing good right now.
They're doing hot right
Mhm.
now. So it's been a good week. We've had a lot of exciting Dallas sports. With the Final Four happening here over the weekend, and we are just ready to sink our teeth into all of this. We're going to start right off the bat with the bracket, the first inaugural bracket challenge, next round sports bracket challenge, and got to give congratulations. Give it over to Jeff.
Thank you.
Little golf
No,
clap.
just kidding, just kidding. Congratulations, buddy. Jeff got
Yeah.
first place, scoring 1,130 points. Caleb pulling up second.
Mhm.
And I got fourth with 720. Yes.
Almost.
So our highest, and then we did have
Our
one of
highest
our
celebrity.
contestants jump in, and get third place. So very good showing there. Everyone else then finished out below that there. So we'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on the bracket challenge, and we'll be setting that up again for next year. We might have another few little fun things that we're discussing on the side, but yeah, well, glad everybody could join us out on it. We had a lot of fun with it.
No
Separately,
gift card for you.
you get nothing.
Oh goodness.
But anyways, going on to the next one is our personal picks once we started from the final eight or from the elite eight. And after the games that went on there, Jeff has finished with a total of 5 correct picks from the elite eight on to the championship. And Caleb and myself have tied with 7.
Yay.
Myself going with North Carolina State brought it back down to where we actually tied, but we couldn't all pick
Yeah.
the same picks. I had to do something different.
Yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
but that's where we are with those standings. It's been a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again. I'm sure we can do some other kind of little pick'ems along as other sports come along throughout the rest of the calendar year. But let's go ahead and get into these actual games. And
Yeah. You
Really-
come.
absolutely, I mean, UConn did what you guys thought they would. And
Mhm.
these Final Four games, really, I mean, these weren't really. I mean, you knew what was going to happen, and what everybody knew was going to happen happened. I mean,
Right.
domination by
Pretty
UConn,
much.
86 to
Alabama
72
gave
again.
them a heck of a run. Alabama gave them a heck of a challenge, I think, in that Final Four game, though. That was UConn's probably
No,
the
they
toughest
didn't.
game.
It
of
was
the tournament.
never in doubt. It was never in doubt. There was
It was
no
close
time.
until like 3
There-
minutes left.
There was
Yes,
no
it was.
point
You
at
go
all
back
that
and
I
look at
ever
that.
thought UConn was going to lose that game. There was no chance. No chance it was going to happen.
I just think that was their biggest test. That's all I'm going to say then.
Yeah,
no, that was not
that's
their
not
biggest
saying-
test.
Yeah, that's tough.
Out of this
It-
tournament?
They had a bigger test out of Purdue. Purdue just
No, they
didn't shoot on the outside.
It's because the defense of the guards of UConn
Yep.
that they didn't shoot. I mean, Purdue
It was
guards
not the
combined
biggest
for
test.
17 points with 12
Yeah.
from Braden Smith. That's UConn's defense, and that's something we knew going in. And even all the talking heads actually got right, is that the defense of the UConn guards versus the Purdue shooting guard or Purdue guards, they were going to get
Well, we're going to get into
dominated.
that game here in a minute. I'm just saying this was not their toughest test. Not by
Yes,
any means
I
at all.
disagree with
No,
you,
there was
but we'll
not.
go
You can
on.
disagree all you want. This game
I
was
know, I'll be right.
was a blowout.
I want
It
that
ended up being a blowout.
Purdue was a blowout
Yeah.
more than Alabama was. I mean, let's
They
be
won
straight.
by
Every
5.
game was a blowout for UConn.
Yeah,
they
15
blew
points.
out
Every game was
every
a blowout.
game.
They won every game by
all
double
12
digits.
games. Yeah, by
Every
all
single
12 games
game.
by double digits.
Every single game by double digits.
NCAA record.
But anyways,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Mhm.
But Purdue handled North Carolina State 63 to 50. Zach
Yeah.
Edey just tore North Carolina State a new one. They had no
He
answer
did.
for him this
They
entire.
didn't. I mean, the other.
Excuse me.
I mean, he limits whoever he goes against. Like, just doesn't get the offense he potentially normally do. I mean, Burns was huffing and puffing by the end of like the first 5 minutes, trying to guard Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
And he finishes with 8 points, which is way below his average, of course. And couldn't move Zach Edey either or get anything that he wanted in the post. So, I mean...
Well, also, too, only 1 rebound for DJ Burns in that game.
Very true.
Purdue just dominated the boards, and even their guards were getting on the rebounds as well. I don't think Purdue played necessarily particularly well in this game. I just think
I agree with you.
I think their size advantage over NC State
Mhm.
just completely took over. And again, as we'll discuss in a little bit, again, poor guard play by Purdue, but when Edey had 20 and 12 and was basically able to do whatever he wanted, that was enough to beat NC State. And NC State looked kind of like the team that they had prior to the ACC tournament, which at some point was going to happen.
Yeah, very true.
It is. It just didn't
Very
expect
true.
them to make it all the way to the Final Four before that happened.
No,
However,
no.
Right.
no one did. That's why
joke.
they were there. That's why they were the Cinderella story.
Yeah, so Cinderella. You're open for him and rooting for him, but yeah, only one Burns showed up on the offensive side for NC State because the other one was having to guard Zach Edey, who I'll bring up again later in one of our discussions.
And that led to what a lot of people were looking forward to, the 2 best teams this year playing against each other.
Arguably top
then-
2, Clash of the Titans as it was billed.
I mean, and the only other team you could throw in there was Houston, but of course with the injuries Houston sustained, that got him out of there. I
they
mean,
always seem to get bit by that bug, unfortunately, but yeah.
the last 3 years it's really, really hurt it. But these were the 2 best teams, so it's not like you had a problem with it at the end of the day. I mean, you had the 2 best teams, and to me, it was, as you said, the guards for Purdue didn't do anything. I mean, no one did anything. All they did was throw the ball down to Zach Edey. That was it.
Zach Edey had a
they-
heck of a game. I mean,
they-
37 points,
did.
10 rebounds,
He had a hell of a
2
game.
blocks. He
But
could
it's
do
like their
whatever he
coach
wanted.
the
Even
coach
against
said-
Klingon, for the most part, he could do whatever he wanted. Now,
But
there was
to
a
me, it
couple
looked
of
like
fouls
the coach
they
just said,
called
"We're going to
against
live and die
Klingon.
by him."
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's
exactly
what
what
Hurley
they
said,
decided.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is Hurley's words after the
Mhm.
tournament. He said, Eddie's going to get his.
Mhm.
We're going to stop the guards and get that 3-point shooting cut out. And that was their game plan. And it worked to perfection. I
Mhm.
mean,
And
Brandon Smith showed up in the
Purdue's-
first half with 12 points, but he didn't get any points in the second half.
And in that
Purdue's
first
game
half,
plan looked like
it-
it was from 1985.
It was close in that first half. The first
was.
half ended. It
It
was
was very close.
36-30. Purdue felt good
Yeah.
being down 6 points there at the half. And that's
They
where
felt
it
good,
got
but
out of hand.
honestly, if you're not up on UConn,
Yeah.
they are such a great second half team. The highest point differential from the first half to the second half team in college basketball this year.
Mhm.
You just can't. You're not going to win that game. And it's
Well, just like in the NBA now, like you have to shoot threes at some point. You can't just take only 7 shots from 3, and they only made 1 of them. I mean, again, like I was saying, Purdue played this game like a 80s kind of a game where you would just feed the ball to Patrick Ewing or feed the ball to Olajuwon.
well, that's
ball to
because
Miles
they couldn't
Anderson.
score. The
whole
defense, they
time.
couldn't get
Mhm.
open. The defense was great by
Now, what
Castle.
they could have done
Newton.
something other than to me. There was something they could look. UConn's
Okay,
defense was great.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we
we
look back at
discussed-
it in 2020 vision. Maybe you could do something, but this is a very intricate system that UConn runs, and it's designed to confuse offenses on their defense.
Well, then that
and
comes
their
down to the
offense
coach
designed to
knowing
confuse
that that was going to
defenses.
happen, and he should have had another plan. He should have had multiple plans.
Well,
of,
this goes back to the
different things
Purdue's
they could have
coach. Like I
used.
said, I don't
Yeah.
have faith in their coach, Purdue's
Exactly.
coach.
I don't either.
He
it's
doesn't come up
proved
with
that.
things
He-
like that.
Because instead of trying to make adjustments, trying to do other things to help break up that defense, they just, we're just going to keep pounding it to Zach Edey. We're just going to keep going with it. And just, it's the level, it's the definition of insanity. You can keep doing the same thing and think it's going to change. and get different results. No, you have to do something different. Yeah, he's getting his, but you're getting beat. You have to do something different.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. Like you said, we talked about that. We knew this was going to happen if this option came up. That's why we all picked UConn to win, because we knew Purdue was going to do this at some point.
I say we knew that guard play was going to have to catch up to him. I mean, neither team scored good on 3-point percentage. Like Jeff said, I mean, Purdue was 107 at 14. Whatever, grammatical Nazi.
I live with my wife.
UConn was
Nazi. It's rubbing off on me.
Right. UConn was 6 of 22 for 27.3. So this game was scored with putbacks, cuts, drives to the lanes, points in the paint. This was a very old school style game, which I loved personally. And I love the fact that they were able to move people around different times and get people open, especially I'm going to go back to Alabama game for a second. When Castle wasn't being guarded, they wrinkled him in as just a blind alley-oop pass for like twice. Hurley's just great at that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, UConn just had too much firepower. I mean, when you have Clingan and Castle, who are both top 10 picks in the NBA draft. You have Tristan Newton, who's going to be probably a draft pick. And then you have Cam Spencer, who's a great college player at guard as well.
I think he could be an X factor like Jason Terry, but like I said, we'll get into the draft stuff later. But yeah, it was too much firepower.
Yeah.
And that and I think it was better coaching too. I'll give Hurley his props over Purdue's coach 1,000 times.
I mean, Dan Hurley showed why he's the best. Dan Hurley showed why he's the best coach in the country.
He's the best X's and O's coach in the country right now.
But he's just so angry all the time. He's so fucking pissed.
He pushed his own player on the court.
Yes, he was out there arguing with Edey over a screen. It was like,
he was.
And calm down,
I like
man.
that. I like that. I was saying, I like that Edey's response was "fuck you."
Yes, which is the correct response.
I know.
Don't go out there and yell at the kid. Come on.
Oh, but it was awesome.
Hurley, just, like every game, every game I've seen of UConn, they show Hurley, and he looks like someone just peed in his Cheerios. He's just always fucking pissed.
Every time, it's like, even
at the end of the game, even at the end of the game last night when they were running out the clock, he was still yelling.
Yeah, he's just perpetually pissed all the time. All the time.
That's his secret power. That's his secret superpower.
I don't understand
it.
It's fucking exhausting. Like I get exhausted just watching him be angry. I'm like, God, I'm tired just looking at you do this. This is ridiculous. I can never be that angry that much all the time.
Out too from last
Bullshit. Bullshit.
No. Not even close.
God, I'm chilled out. Yeah, that's chilled out. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, well, but yeah, I mean,
bringing up Hurley and what a great coach he is, or that he's the best coach right now, X's and O's and everything.
Yep.
That leads to the other little section I want to talk to. Yes, is John Calipari left a few days ago, or it hasn't been official, but
in
it's
the middle
leaving.
Of his 10-year contract,
heading to Arkansas. And to me, very surprising move. But a lot of people are saying this was the second best job in the SEC. He doesn't have to,
Well, this is kind of like Calipari. He likes to jump ship.
He did that with Memphis. He did it with Memphis to go to Kentucky.
That's what I'm saying. That's his style. He jumps from Memphis, lifts them with a bunch of penalties, then goes to Connecticut. It's like, okay, things are starting to get tough. Okay, I'm going to go over here now to Arkansas. He just kind of jumps.
You said Connecticut. I think he meant Kentucky, but yeah. I mean, he's been there for 13 years, or 15 years. So I mean, it's not like he's been there, just a couple of years and then moved on.
That's true, I guess.
But I was surprised of him going to Arkansas, because to me that didn't seem like an upward move. I mean, it's hard to go up when you're at Kentucky just because of its status as it is. It's hard to go up from that point. So to me, it wasn't anywhere you go besides maybe North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, maybe Arizona is going to be a down step regardless of where you go. But there's been talk on the radio that maybe
dream jobs, according to him,
maybe that because Jerry Jones is a donor that helped bring stuff in that they'll actually have a lot of NIL money to be able to bring people in.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems excited about it. Good for Arkansas. That gives them actually a very good. No, not a very good. I'm not a Calipari fan by all means. It's one of the better
Gives them an
coaches they've
average
had. I'll give
coach.
it that.
Yeah.
Oh, to me, he's a completely average coach who just was a good recruiter. That's all.
Yes,
to me, he was
I
a
can
good
agree with
recruiter and an average coach. But I think he's one of the better coaches Arkansas's had in a long time. So
I could agree
good
with
for
that.
them. But
Mm-hmm.
that brings in who will replace him at Kentucky? Because Kentucky's going to try and money whip, and I think they're going to try and money whip Hurley to leave UConn.
Oh, of course they are. I mean, they
come
were
to
paying
Kentucky.
$9 million per season for Calipari. Right now, Hurley's making 5.65 at UConn. His last year, he's going to make $7 million.
Yeah, I mean,
at the
they'd
end of
have
his
to
contract.
pay him. They'd have to pay him $12 million a year,
And they would.
$12 million.
And they would.
They would, but Hurley's also already said that at first he said it's not on my mind before the championship game. Then after the championship game, he's already come out the next day and said, I'm not interested.
True, but
that being said, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be talks and things of that nature.
Everyone has their price.
But I'm also going to say something here that Ray Allen had said to The Athletic. He is a New Jersey guy. This is his geographic area, is Hurley. And he fits this region. He fits stores. The SEC and Kentucky are a different region and different area. So, I mean, there's no guarantee you're going to have the same success in that region that you had where you were. And he's also got a lot of family in the New Jersey area, too. That's kind of his home area. So, I mean, I think it would behoove Kentucky to find somebody who fits their style more.
Who would you suggest as an option?
South Carolina's head coach would be my go-to.
He doesn't have enough skins on the wall, and I mean,
Hurley. I mean, who could say he had that many skins? He had Rhode Island. That's his biggest accomplishment up to that point. He came to UConn, and he started off with a losing record.
Then. And Dan Hurley turned UConn into a blue blood, as we have discussed.
Well, we'll discuss it a bit, but thanks for ruining the future.
Names I've heard are Alabama's coach and Bruce Pearl out of Auburn.
I think Nate Oates is definitely a possibility, taking a school like Alabama to the Final Four, so he knows how to build a program from scratch at the SEC level. So I think that would be an outstanding
for a couple of years
hire.
now too, and I think he's proven he can recruit as well, getting players like Brandon Miller, Soares,
and being in the SEC. You know what you're dealing with that. You're dealing with the area, so.
And I guess that goes the same for Bruce Pearl as well. He's just a little older than Nate Oates.
Auburn, he is a little older, and Auburn underperformed this year, but they've been a very solid program under him. So I mean, those are safe. They're safe picks. They don't have the name that you want coming in that's going to give the sizzle to your fan base, but they're safe picks. They're good picks. They could be good filler guys until you get somebody else later on, because if they can't get Hurley, which Hurley is who they want. They want Hurley. They want it.
Well,
but Hurley
Kentucky
doesn't want them.
Hasn't even said that they're gonna. They haven't even stated that that's officially their guy.
That's
they said they're in the middle of their search.
That's what
he's the hottest coach in college basketball.
And they're saying that. They'll want the hottest coach. They want that guy there. I mean, I've heard Brad Stevens' name being thrown around. Like Brad Stevens is running the Boston Celtics. Why would you want to? I mean, maybe if you have the itch to go back to coaching, but speaking of which, that's an interesting story. The way he took Butler and then went in to become Boston coach, and now he's took over Danny Ainge's job and everything. And his rise has been really interesting to watch.
Unbelievable.
It truly has.
And he still he still can't get recognized in Boston, probably.
Oh, absolutely not.
Probably not.
He's got to have something on somebody.
He doesn't have that cigar.
He's got to have something on somebody.
He's got something on the Leprechaun. He's got something. But yeah, I mean,
that's a discussion for another time. But
yeah, it's like I don't know. I mean, do you go to the Pac-12 then maybe and try to poach like UCLA's coach if you're Kentucky?
I
don't think
know.
that's a hot
I don't think they've done anything that's worthy. That's not. They need a name.
That'd be the thing.
When Calipari came in from Memphis,
tournament this year.
When Calipari came in from Memphis, he was coming in hot from Memphis. It was a name. It was a name that they could sell to the fan base, and was good for them, especially until he fizzled out because the game got past it. He didn't change with the game as it went along. The NIL screwed him completely.
Well, it did.
Completely screwed him.
I mean, he was the king of one and done. That was his niche.
It was his niche, and he struck it while the iron was hot, but the game changed. He didn't adjust with it. Maybe he will. Arkansas, we'll see. But they need a name. And whether it's a safe name for now, being Bruce Pearl, which I think would be a very good, signing for a couple of years. You sign for a couple of years and see who you can get after that. Because I feel like they're going to go after Hurley. I agree with you that Hurley's probably not going to leave. He likes where he's at. That's his home base. He's got a good recruiting section in that area. Why does he need to leave? He had 5 of his top 8 scorers leave from last year and came back and had a better team this year. I mean, why would you leave? I mean, you're already doing that.
I mean, you're losing Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, probably Klingon, Castle, Alex Caravan's also going to be gone. So you're going to lose another, like, your top core guys.
But you've already done that, and you came back
You've
better.
done it once. You did. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how they're going to rebuild, though, by losing all of these guys. Because last year, I wasn't too worried because you had Klingon coming back, and you had Tristan Newton once he said he was coming back. And I knew Caravan was coming back. So I knew those 3 guys, I was like, we're going to be fine. Even if Sonogo, Jackson, all those guys left, I was like, I'm fine with this core. But this, I think, is a big core of the team that's leaving. So this is going to be an interesting rebuild for UConn. I'm not sure they're going to be as much a powerhouse next year, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, it took them a little while this year to get it figured out. I mean, they played well all year long, but earlier in the season, they weren't playing too hot. They were losing some
they
games.
Did. They did.
It took them
they
a little
lost
while
to
figure it
Kansas
out.
with some shifts going on, gave them some trouble.
Once
they got
it
Samson
out,
Johnson as their next big man, so we're going to see how he plays now. He had a couple really big mistakes in the championship game, but it's going to be his center position most likely.
One name that I wanted to throw out, who I think could be a dark horse candidate for Kentucky, is Scott Drew. He's already won a national championship at Baylor. He built that program literally from the ground up.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And he's always consistently goes to the tournament. Again, has already won a national championship at Baylor. He's probably thinking, how much more can I possibly do at Baylor other than just consistently take this team to the NCAA tournament? It's probably going to be extremely difficult to win the national championship again. He's only 50 years old, roughly. So I think, that's another candidate to keep an eye out on for it. I think
that's a good
Kentucky
pick.
might be one of.
I like that pick. I think that's a very good name to throw out there.
Yeah, and I think Kentucky might be one of those jobs where he finally leaves Baylor for.
It's one of those jobs. It's one of those jobs. It's Kentucky,
North Carolina, Duke,
I mean, the Blue Bloods. The Blue Bloods. It doesn't matter
UConn.
where you're coaching at. You have to really, really love where you're at.
UConn is now Blue
to
Blood.
not take those jobs.
Yes.
To not take those jobs. You have to really love where you're at and just, I'm not leaving. I want to be here. This is where I want to be.
Agreed. Yeah, it's the SEC is the just revenue pumping, money printing machine when it comes to their coaches. So they're always going to have the biggest pay anybody can give. Like I said, Calipari's making $9 million. Hurley's not going to touch that in his current contract. And dang it, Calipari, sorry, lost in my track there, signed his contract 5 years ago.
Exactly.
So that's like, man.
Now, another thing I wanted to talk about here in college basketball is we know our national champion, UConn won. Big East. NIT, Big East with Seton Hall.
Oh, yeah. hoping for
So the
Indiana
Big
State.
East won both championships, but they only got 3 teams in the tournament. 3.
Yeah,
And again,
like we said, it was a travesty when it started. We're like, that team shouldn't be in.
well,
Like
just think about
Virginia
all
was the
the
number one.
teams.
We've said them times.
Virginia
Like-
is the one that I'll never get over. St. John's, Providence, Seton Hall, they all deserved to get in above Virginia.
Oh, you're bringing up St. John's right now. Patino.
yeah.
He could be an opportunity there at Kentucky as well. I forgot about
To
him.
go
He's
back
not
to the
always happy
dead,
right there.
To
go-
come back from the dead, do a full circle and go back.
That,
to
yeah,
Kentucky,
that'd be the full
What a
resurrection.
storyline. What a storyline.
You're not
That'd be
wrong there.
Unbelievable. That'd be
Could
the storyline of the decade in college basketball.
It would be. It would be. There you go.
Well,
There's
now
my
it has
dark
to
horse
happen.
pick. Rick Pitino, leaving St. John's, going to Kentucky. Hookers for everyone.
Yay!
All right.
That's fun.
While we're talking, we can just keep the college train rolling as we're going along. If you guys want to talk about, this is one thing I want you guys' opinion on, and give me, who do you think is going to get drafted first, Klingon or Zach Edey?
I'm taking the guy that's going to score and did it very well against Klingon and whoever was on him. 32 points, 10 rebounds. He had a 40-point game earlier. He's averaged a double-double this entire tournament and has played the most minutes out of anybody in this tournament. Everybody looks tired when they try to guard him. Meanwhile, he just keeps running up and down the floor at 285 pounds and 7'4". Give me that guy.
So is he a number one overall pick? You think do you take
I
him
think
as
he's
a
in the
number
top
one?
5. I mean, you look at this draft. This is a historically bad draft coming up.
It is a terrible draft.
There's
I couldn't tell
not
you
a lot
anybody
of good
coming out besides
prospects
Edey
coming up.
and Klingon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, international. I think there was no Americans the last time somebody projected it in the top 5 or 10. But I think Zach Edey
That
could
also
go
says
in the
what's going
top.
on with the international game too. So
Yeah, very true. I think he could go in the top 5. Definitely, I think in the top 10 or 15, that range. He should be a lottery pick at least. But we'll see. I'm gonna say he doesn't have that stretch 3. He doesn't really step out to defend the 3, so that's definitely weaknesses against him. Where you're having a lot of
in
these big
today's
centers
NBA, it is.
that are stepping out and knocking that 3. Now Klingon didn't hit his 3s for much of the year. He hit a few, but I wouldn't call him a 3-point shooter. But I mean, Zach Edey also had almost as many blocks as Klingon did this tournament. And they both altered several shots. You could see it when someone was going in. See those little guards drive down there and they just kick it back out, or they would turn anytime Klingon came over or Edey came over. I mean, it makes you rethink your life when you're coming up against a 7-footer. And Klingon's 220 pounds, but Zach Edey's 285. That's
he's solid.
old
It's
school
not like
center.
it's not like he's like Wemby running around looking like a newborn baby giraffe. Like he's solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
I mean, I honestly would like to pick him in the top 10 is where I project him to go, but I think he's definitely a lottery pick. I mean, you proved it against the best defensive center in the league that you could dominate him. Now, this is college, granted.
It is college.
But, I mean, if you're going to have to go against Cat Townsend, you're going to have to go against Jokic. I mean, wouldn't you want a big guy to kind of bang with that guy at least? So he's got to kick it out.
Well, Joker, it's already been shown that Joker can get beat if you have guys that will bang on him. Dallas has already shown that with Gafford and Lively. If they can get in there and bang on him, he will not play up to his potential. He doesn't like getting hit. I mean, who does? But
Right.
to me, for Edey, he needs to go to the right place. He doesn't need to come in like this fanfare Wemby had of, oh, he's the next best thing since Kobe.
Yeah.
He's the next best thing since LeBron. No, that's not the type of player that he is. He can be a great number 2. And if he can be the right number 2 to your number 1, I wouldn't mind, even though they've had so many picks, I think he would be really, I'm rethinking this one now. I was going to say there in Oklahoma City with Gilchrist Alexander, but he's already got some good picks there with him.
Yeah,
But
he's
if you
got
could
Chet.
get him, yeah,
But,
well,
I mean, he could
if Chet
provide
Holmgren
some
could stay
depth
healthy,
for Chet.
he could.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
but are they going to have the opportunity to be able
Or
to
make
get
a twin towers out of that duo? Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, you put him in the right position where he doesn't need to be your number one. As long as he's not your number one. Yeah, he was great as their number one there in Purdue, but it's in college and is Purdue.
Mhm.
If you make him your number two, if you can make him your number three option, I think he could really flourish.
Yeah.
And then
And I mean,
you can
because he
kind
showed
of let
he can pass as well. Let's not
Yeah.
forget about that. He was one of the main reasons their 3-point were on and they did so well. It's because he passed it out to that open man when the other guy
when
was
he got
coming to help.
collapsed
He
down
passed
on.
it
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
So I mean, he's proven the ability to pass, shoot, rebound, and block. I mean, that's what you want your center to do.
Exactly. And if you can have him be that third option where you can, I mean, yeah, I think he could succeed as the second option, but if you give him that third option role
Yeah.
where you can
Third
kind of
option
help,
as a rookie, ideally.
you can
then, yeah.
protect him in as he's making rookie mistakes, you can help protect him in that aspect. I mean, I hate to
Mhm.
say because I don't want them to be good, but I think Phoenix would be a really good landing spot for him. If you're able to then cover him up with Devin Booker and Kevin Garnett, and they have that loss where they traded DeAndre Ayton away because he wanted to be
Right.
more of a number one, which he wasn't. He's showing that now in Portland that no,
Mhm.
that is. But if you could put him in there where you're covering up with some really good top talent and he
Yeah.
can kind of just succeed, basically you want to put in kind of like the situation Dallas put Derek Lively in, where you can come in and just
Like, this
Hey,
is your
come down
small
here.
role. Feel it.
we don't
And-
need you to shoot threes. We don't
Right.
need you to play outside of your comfort zone. You don't need to be everything. You just need to come down low, rebound your ass off, get some high percentage shots down low, and block some shots. That's all you got to do. You don't have to. Don't worry about coming at the threes. If you get a wide open three, by all means, we'll let you shoot it. That's cool. But you don't have to. You don't have to worry about shooting threes. You can make money just down here catching alley oops and putting little hook shots in and make a good living and we
Yeah.
can win.
Our dunks and alley oops, even.
Yes.
I mean, this guy is athletic too. Let's not forget it. He
Yes.
looks kind of big and slow, but those dunks he was doing.
Mhm. And to put him in a good situation. And that's where I think I could see him getting drafted higher, but I could also see him
Yeah.
going back further because if you're drafting, in the top 5, you're looking for a guy, usually he's in the top 3 to top 5 in the NBA, that in those
Yeah.
first top 5 picks, you're getting a guy that's going to be. You're looking at him to be your number, your hoss, your workhorse.
And he's not
Fair enough.
capable of doing that.
I was gonna
He's
say, I
not.
want to hear this, Jeff. Like, you talked about how you would change your attitude on him if he did well against Klingon, the number 1 defensive center, but you're still singing the same old tune. That you don't think he's good.
I thought he had a good game, but when Purdue's sole offense was giving Edey the ball every single time, he better have a good statistical game. I mean,
Well, that's
Purdue
the coach's
guards
fault,
did.
not his.
Well, I'm just saying. But to me, I think Klingon had a fantastic tournament run. He showed what he can
Oh,
do. When
yeah.
He's finally healthy. He's a fantastic defender. He can bang down low with those guys like Edey can, and he does it better than he does. And he
What?
moves up.
He
Yes,
could
he
do
does.
whatever he wanted. Edey could do
He-
whatever he wanted against Klingon.
No,
You go
he
back and
couldn't.
look at the tape. Yes, he could. He
No.
missed the first shot, and then he made
That-
4 consecutive ones
and
after
that's
that.
coming
Then
from the
Klingon had to go
UConn fan.
sit.
That's coming
Yes.
from the UConn fan.
Yes.
The UConn fan is defending Edey.
Yeah. But the thing is, Klingon can move up and down the floor. Edey can't do that.
Yes, he can. He's running
he
up and down the
cannot.
field. Did you
No,
look
he's
at
not.
Klingon during that
He's
finals game? He is
he's just-
sweating his butt off trying to guard Edey in that first half.
No,
I was
but
like, if he
Again,
didn't have
coming
foul
from
troubles,
the
he's going to have
UConn
to go
fan.
sit down.
he-
Edey played
but-
more minutes than anybody in this tournament, still running up and down the floor the entire championship game.
Another thing about Klingon too, 8 blocks. He is in that.
He had 8
win-
blocks a game.
against
He was
Northwestern.
great.
8 blocks in one game.
Yeah.
7-7 wingspan.
Against Northwestern.
And he had 5, and
Northwestern.
he also had 5 against Illinois, I think, too. Don't forget about that.
Right,
Um,
but he could
He
guard
was a
the
great
perimeter.
run.
He can guard the perimeter.
That is something he
has
could do
no
better than Edey.
ability. Edey cannot
Edey
do
can
that.
step out. Like I said,
And
Edey
at
is
the
not going to
NBA
step
level,
out.
you
I like
have to
Klingon.
guard the
I wouldn't
perimeter.
mind him on the Mavericks. I would not mind him on the Mavericks. I like Klingon a lot, mainly just because Lively can't stay healthy right now. I would like Klingon.
Right.
Yeah, but Klingon's
I would
kind of
take-
got a little bit of foot issues. I
He
think
does.
might be. I'd be interested to
does.
see some of his physicals coming in before the draft. But he had a
Lots
great
of-
run, like Jeff said. Though I mean, it was a great tournament for him. His draft stock rose obviously tremendously. I think with that
When
tournament
you see
run.
him in the top 10, you can call me, give me a call, shoot me a text. You'll see him be.
So you're gonna say he's in the
your
top 10,
call
but
is
not
Klingon's in the
Edey.
top 10. But well, then where do you have 80?
I think he's a late first round pick.
Oh, wow! And you're gonna have Klingon
Yeah.
over him that high?
I know.
Are you kidding
Yes.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he completely destroyed Klingon in their one-on-one.
He didn't
But
destroy
you're gonna have.
him.
Yes, he did.
He did not.
I had to
destroy
watch
him.
that unfortunateness.
I'm writing this down so we have a record of it. Jeff Klingon,
No, I think he should
top
be a lottery
10.
pick.
You said
but
top
I
10,
do
right?
Top
Well, yeah, he's
10.
Klingon top 10. I got Klingon as a lottery pick. I'm not sure he's going to be a top 10. I think his health
Edey.
might come back and creep him. That'd be his
Late
only
first.
thing.
You're calling Edie late first.
Correct.
I'm just
And I
writing
feel
this
like I'm
down so
being
we
nice.
have a
I feel
record
like
of
I'm being
this.
nice to Edie.
Yes, because we-
nice to
Yeah,
Edie.
because when we come up to draft time and Edie gets picked a lot higher, when that's flipped, I want to make sure you're not going, oh yeah, I said Edie was going to be top
Oh,
10.
no.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just
I'll
making
eat-
sure.
I'll eat crow. I'll eat crow. But when you watch when draft time rolls around.
Mm.
There's the crow right there,
Mhm.
just waiting for you.
Yeah, I said I'm interested to see how some of these top prospects will fare in this upcoming draft. I'm also interested to see where Tristan Newton's going to fall.
I think he's
my
a
guess
second
is
round pick.
yeah,
probably.
that's
And then-
my thought too. Unfortunately, and I'm hoping the Mavs can actually get him because he is a second round pick. Because they don't have
But
any first
let's
this
not-
year. But
Yeah, but let's not forget the most important player, Stephen Castle. He's a top 5 pick.
no, he's not.
Yes,
He's
he
good,
is.
but he's not that good. I'm sorry, no.
Why is he not? Tell me.
He
why
got
he's not.
better over the year, but he's not consistent. He still makes rookie mistakes in some of his movements. I think he should go back to UConn for one more year because he's going to be the guy if he does, and that would greatly improve his draft stock. I think if he's able to do it again, because he got better as the year went on, but he also missed about 10 games this year with various injuries.
Well, that also comes to the
So-
whole stat. As you're saying, do you come out where you could be maybe a mid to late first round, or you come back where you're the
Yeah.
man, prove yourself? Where
Now,
you could possibly, if you
Castle-
come back up and bring it up for a long run, you could be a top 3 pick.
Yeah. Castle's projected to go as a lottery pick, I think, right now, but that's a mistake to get him that early, in my opinion. I don't see him being that good.
I think there's still room for improvement, but you have to remember.
Well,
the guy is
yeah.
just
He's
a
like a-
freshman.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's a freshman. That's what I'm thinking to behoove him to go back for more seasoning. But
Oh, but that's not.
yeah, no, he's going to go most likely. He was kind of known as a one and done when he came in. So it would surprise me if he comes back. But yeah, Castle is another one I was interested in. Don't get me wrong there. But I really think for his sake he should go back and go a little more. Because there was enough mistakes to make me worry about him. Tristan Newton had hot and cold games, but this is a guard who almost averages a triple double
Yeah,
and can
but you have to-
defend. And Castle can defend too. Don't get me wrong.
Well, that's the thing. What about Castle on the defensive side of the ball? That guy knows how to play defense.
Well, they both do. Almost everybody of UConn knows how to play defense. That's one
I
thing
know.
Hurley's really good about putting in. Cam
Yeah.
Spencer
We've seen
was good at
We've
it.
seen it happen.
Yeah, we've seen it happen many times. But yeah, so Klingon, but yeah, crazy. It's going to be an
All right.
interesting draft to see. And that's not just the UConn prospects. You've got other prospects from around the league, like Soares coming out. It'll be interesting to see where some of these people land.
And we'll get into more depth as we get closer to the NBA draft when that comes up. We'll definitely get really into depth when the episode before that comes up there. So
I know.
as we go ahead and
Well, I do
wrap
have
up
one question
Mhm.
though. One more question. I know Jeff's already been hollering at me about this for most of the thing, but I haven't heard your opinion on necessarily too much. Do you consider UConn a blue blood, one of the Dukes, North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky elite basketball programs now after they've won 2 championships in a row and 6 in 25 years?
They have won 2 championships back. They've won their championships back to back. They're the third team to do that in the past 50 years. You can't keep them out of it.
I agree with you. And I know Jeff already agrees with this.
You can't keep them out of it. Even though I think Hartley's a dick, I can't argue with it. I mean,
yeah. And
I
like
think
I
he's
said,
a dick,
I mean, their win
but
percentage is only
he's a good
65, where most of these blue bloods are at 70. But UConn also got a later start than some of these other more historic
They have.
franchises do.
And the fact that they won every game by double digits, every single game, you cannot keep them out of there. Give me a stat that shows they're not a blue blood. Give it to me. Let me know, because one of the 3 teams that went back to back in the last 50 years is Duke and Florida.
Yeah.
And Florida's not a blue blood.
True.
But they went back to back, something that North Carolina's not done, Kansas hasn't done, Kentucky hasn't done. So,
and they're tied for 3rd in total championships now.
Yes,
so, I mean, like there is you can't really give a stat where they don't match it anymore. Like I said, last year, if you asked this question at the same time, I'd say they're not a blue blood. They are very close, but they're not there yet. But I've got to say they are now.
Oh, they are.
And I'm glad to hear you all agree with
me. To me, well, there's no argument. I mean, even if I personally was like, I hate them and I don't want them to be a blue blood, and I don't think they should be, there's no stat that tells me they can't be. I mean, they won you won a back-to-back championship. That's something only 3 teams have done in the past 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
You won every single game in the tournament by double digits and demolished everyone. You went on a 30-point run against
tournament record,
Illinois, the hottest offensive team at that time in Sweet 16.
Yeah.
You just demolished them with a 30-0 run. And there's no reason. You have the championships to back it up. You have the recent proof showing this, and there's no reason, after losing 5 of your top 8 scorers last year, it's coming back with an even better team. And yes, there were guys that came back that you're like, okay, we feel good about these guys coming back, but
you still lost a lot of talent.
Proving that after losing all that talent, then coming back, doing even better. There's no reason not to believe that you're going to keep that going forward as long as Hurley stays. There's no reason to not think that he's not going to keep this program as a top program going along.
True.
There's no reason to.
Yeah, and I mean, going kind of back to that coach talk, I mean, UConn's kept their historically good coaches. Like Jim Calhoun was there for years and years. Dino Ariyama on the women's side is there and still there. He's been there for years as well. And all they do is win. So UConn's usually pretty good about keeping.
To me, there's no argument. They're part of a blue blood group. If anybody who wants to keep them out of there is just a hater at this point. That's all they are. They have no basis to stand on. There's nothing you can stand on to say they don't deserve to be a member of it. I'm not the biggest fan of UConn at all by any means, mainly because my wife's from went to Providence, so I pull for Providence. I mean, that's what it is. But I'm not going to argue with what the stats say and what they've done. They've proven themselves. And when you prove yourselves, that's fine. I acknowledge that you proved that you did it. I completely acknowledge it. They're a blue blood, like it or not.
I say I agree with you.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up our college talk here, and we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back in a moment. We'll dive into the NBA action. And welcome back from the break as we're ready to sink our teeth into NBA action and a lot of stuff going on in the league right now. Of course, who we care about the most, the Dallas Mavericks. 9-1 in their last 10, have gone into fifth in the West. They, captured today, which got a big win today over a team they should have beat, Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
There's 3 games left. You're 2 games now, probably 1 game back from the Clippers for that 4th seed. You're playing the Clippers. We're playing the Clippers in the first round. That's what's happening. And I don't see with the Clippers, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 as well. They've been playing hot, not as hot as the Mavericks have, but they've been playing really, really well. They've been keeping pace. It's already secure. We're going heads on again with another rematch with the Clippers, and I think Luka has the best team he's had in his matchups with the Clippers to actually get over the hump. I wish we could, they could lose the last 3 games and maybe we could jump into the 4th and get the home court advantage. I don't see that happening, but
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I mean, the Clippers are playing well right now. They really are, but I'm feeling good with the way this team is playing, that I don't think they have the big man play to, especially if Lively's back and healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. That Gafford Lively connection, I don't think they have anyone to counteract that.
No,
You don't trust Zubac?
No, they've abused him too much.
Flat-footed Zubac, yeah.
No. Because every time we played the Clippers, they put him in there and then he gets abused and like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? We got to take him out. And like he just racks up fouls too quickly. So no, there's
they go
no
in
way.
And play small balls. What they do at that point, and try to outscore us with Kawhi and Paul George.
And that's
and
the
Harden.
thing. The Clippers are playing really good right now. And they're doing this without Kawhi, who Tyronn Lue said should be back in time for the start of the postseason. So that'll be another interesting kind of twist.
They're just resting Kawhi.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good series. I think the Mavericks are built to get past them and get further into the playoffs than they have been. I'm not saying they'll win the championship. I'm not saying
they should get out of the first round this year, especially if they're going against the Clippers.
I believe we could beat the Clippers.
I think you're talking an easy series. I'm thinking 5-1 is how easy.
I'm saying at least 6-game series. It's going to be game 6.
7-game series. It's a banger. I mean, that's a 6 or 7 game series for sure. I mean, that's going to be that could
I don't
be
see that, but
that could be the series of the entire first round, in my opinion.
Well, we know we're going to watch it because the Mavs are in it either way.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be glued to that one. I'm not going to watch any of the other series because really, I just don't. And I'm not going to get the opportunity to do it because my wife's always, hey, you got to watch our shows.
Let's say it's time for Outlander.
Well, I mean,
exactly. Well, she's watching upstairs right now as we speak.
Right.
And the thing is, in the East, we all know it's going to be Boston anyway.
Yeah, so there's no.
Even though they did lose to the Bucks today, who finally won their first game of April.
Yeah, but they're 15.
And in that game, needs to be mentioned that the teams combined for only 2 free throws shot the entire game. And just Boston is the first team ever to not shoot a free throw in a game. Ever.
That is impressive.
That is just ridiculous. Impossible to me.
Yeah.
I never thought a lot of times that's a statement I never thought I'd have to ever say.
I agree with you. I never thought I'd hear that or know that or see that in my lifetime.
I saw that during the break and I was like, huh?
Yeah, I remember they didn't have any in the first half, and I'm like, well, that's odd. But then I was like, surely they'll get one in the second half. And they just didn't. The refs let them play. But, I mean, there also wasn't a lot of physicality from the bit that I saw. Which I missed the first half, unfortunately.
Both teams are not get down there and bang with you in the paint teams. They're both more finesse. when it comes down to
Very
it.
true, very true. And especially once Giannis went down with that leg injury, he's going to have an MRI on it tomorrow. So we'll see the extent of his injury right before the playoffs.
Gonna
That's
be
bad timing.
huge for Milwaukee because they've got a good team. I mean, you got Dame in there, but that pairing of Dame and Giannis is really,
That's what they
really
wanted.
big. It is. Well, I mean, it was a good. I even said that was a great signing.
I
To be able
think we
to
all
trade
agree
for
that we
him was
like that trade.
fantastic. Everyone liked it. I mean, I would have liked Dame to come to Dallas, of course, more than anything else. But
Agreed.
just because I respect his game and I thought he would have been a good pairing with Luka. Although one thing I want to talk about later is the chemistry that Kyrie and Luka have brought together this year after at the end of last season, which I fully admit I jumped on the whole "what the F are we doing here" bandwagon.
I was right there with you. I was shocked.
We'll talk about that here shortly. But that's going to be big if Giannis is out for extended period of time, especially since this was a non-contact injury.
Right.
He was going down the court and then he just stopped and fell on the ground, and those usually aren't good.
No.
And I hate that because you want Giannis. You need the NBA. You want your best players out in the playoffs, and
agreed.
This is really to me. Milwaukee was the team that Boston had to worry about, and if Giannis is out, Boston doesn't worry about anyone else.
No,
they should. Now, of course, they did lose to the 10th seed Heat last year. They did. I think they were too busy. I think they looked past the Heat and they were looking to the next series, and they didn't take them seriously, and that came up to bite them. And Jimmy Butler was Jimmy Butler.
Speaking of Boston too, I guess we got to bring up Jeff's point that he made before the break about Brad Smith's meteoric rise.
Brad Stevens.
Chris,
you were the one that brought that up first.
I just still, I mean, I remember when he got hired for Boston, and I was like, oh yeah, he's that guy for Butler, brought Butler into the Final Four, Like, good for him. I was like, why is Boston hiring him? What do they see in him? And I talked to my buddy Boston Kirk, and who's a huge Celtic fan, just said, hey, congrats on the hire. I think it's a good hire. I think it's risky, but congrats on it. And he was like, I can't even believe we hired him. I like it, but I can't believe it. I just don't. I like what he did at Butler, but it was Butler. It's not like he did anything with a big school. Maybe that was what they needed, but he had, he didn't bring a championship to the team.
Yeah.
However, but he kept them competitive. And then when Danny Ainge was out and got sent off to where he's in now Utah.
Yeah.
But they brought him, they completely took him out of the head coaching role and brought him into the VP of basketball operations. And at first I was like, why? Well, I mean,
right.
What is he proven to be that he's front office material? I mean, he seems to be a very good coach. Why would you take him out of this position? And the Bucks are the number 2 seed, who beat them tonight. But you look at the difference in the record between Boston and the Bucks, and it's more than Denver on the West of the number 1 seed and Golden State in the 10th seed.
Yeah.
That is insane. That you're closer in record. The 1 and 10 seed in the West are closer in record than the 1 and 2 seed in the East. But that's the way, to me, the East has always kind of been. The East has always been really top heavy, and then you've got everyone else at the bottom. I mean, you take the Mavericks, who are 5th right now, you put them over in the East, and they're 2nd or 3rd. And no one's arguing about Luka Doncic being the MVP at that point. No one is arguing that.
Yeah.
Which to me, I still think, even though he isn't the records, the Vegas doesn't have him as it, keep an eye out for Luka getting the MVP. I'll make my call now.
Fair enough. I mean, he got a triple-double tonight, another 30-point triple-double.
He has.
with 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 39 points.
I still have to give
And-
it to Jokic, but I would give Doncic number 2. I would give
Well,
it over.
I would let-
I'd give
I
Can
don't-
you
it
have,
over
what about
Shea.
co-MVPs? We've done that once before.
Yes, they have done for if Jokic. If he gets it, I'm not arguing it. I'm not going to throw a fit. I'm not going to be like, this is bullshit. He got robbed. I'm not going to
Right.
say that. Jokic got robbed last year when they gave it to Embiid because they were trying to not have the same guy win it 3 years in a row. So
Mhm.
his stats
Much less
are
a
better than
white
last
guy.
year. His stats are better than last year. So if he wins it, I'm not going to be mad about it. However, they need to look what Luka's done this year. Look how important he is to this team. I still see him having a big opportunity of getting it. Now I might be wrong. It's happened before. I've been wrong. But
Mhm.
Well, no, but also too, you have to think about how much, and I know you're going to talk about this, so I don't want to jump the gun too much, but just the chemistry between Kyrie and Luca now has been the catalyst for this whole run. And
Well, that and
just-
Gafford, I think, getting Gafford in there on a more consistent basis.
bringing Gafford and
allowed them to
Washington
be more
in
free.
at the trade deadline is going to go down as one of the bigger trades the Mavericks have ever made because they were floundering. They were not going to be in the playoffs. They weren't going to be in the play-in. They were.
And you got rid of Grant Williams,
done.
who was doing nothing for you and
But
playing all those.
And being
causing
a locker room, he
problems.
was being a locker room cancer supposedly too.
And when he came in, I go, "Oh, good. He's going to help us defensively." But
Mm-hmm.
it's showing now that he was a cancer in the locker room. Whether it was because of the shoes, which we talked about on the on the podcast, we talked about if this is the reason why is this kind of weak, whatever. It doesn't matter what it was. If the guys didn't like him and he didn't like each other, it's proven itself now that we're playing better since he's been gone, and these other guys who've bought into the team have come in, and we went from not being even in the play-in to being the 5th seed.
Yeah.
That's a great rise, and
It's unbelievable.
it
They
really
have a
is.
better- They have a better record than the Milwaukee Bucks, who we've discussed tonight.
Yes.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
at the end of last season, I fully admit I was on the why the hell did we trade for Kyrie Irving trade? Why did we do that? I was on the train. I was sitting there tooting the horn.
I was saying, why didn't we trade him for Ayton? That was my thing over the offseason.
I was on the same way. Why did we go for DeAndre Ayton? Why? Why did we get this cancer guy who's been a cancer everywhere he's went? Well, you know what? I don't know if it's because we fully supported him with Ramadan and his religion. I don't know if that's the reason why. I don't know if it's just that him and Luka were meant to play together. I don't know, but I do remember saying that this trade will be successful if you have a motivated Kyrie and you keep him motivated. If
Yeah.
you keep him motivated and bought in, this will be a success. And that's what they've done so far. Kyrie is
Yeah.
motivated. Kyrie is playing some of the best basketball of his career.
He's
This is
having a
what
good
you-
season, sure,
This
yeah.
is what we hoped to get from Rondo after the Rondo trade. This is what we were
Yeah.
hoping to get then.
Mhm.
It
Maybe
is
not as much offensive punch, but yeah, pretty much the all-around player. and-
facilitating. You
Yeah.
expected to get that from him.
Yes.
But that's the whole thing is everyone said, "Oh, they can't coexist. They're too much of the same player." They're coexisting beautifully.
Yeah,
They're
I
playing
mean,
off
that
each
Houston
other.
game that went to overtime, they scored 85 combined points.
Yeah.
And
to lead that back
and they're
with a
not
win.
mad at each other about it. It's not like they're scoring to outscore each other, to outplay each other. They're playing together. They're loving playing together. They're
Yeah, they seem to
enjoying
have
everything.
fun. Yeah,
You're starting to see the
cracking
talking head
jokes with each
pundits
other.
buy into it, going, no one wants to face this team going into the playoffs. This is a team you have to worry about. They're deep. They're playing well. They're getting great. When you have Kyrie and Luka both on,
Hmm.
it's hard to beat them. It is extremely hard to beat them.
They're not wrong.
And if you've got Lively healthy and Gafford, and they're both playing well, if you can get a combined triple double out of those two, that's scary because they can get down and muscle down with Joker, and they've proven already by beating Denver when they beat Denver. Yes, it was on a miraculous shot by Kyrie Irving, but Joker did not have a good game. He did not have an MVP level game that time because Gafford and Lively made it difficult for him the entire game.
Correct.
They made it difficult. They shown how you can beat Denver, and it's make Joker's life difficult by putting two defensive-minded big men all over him the entire game. When you've got 12 fouls you can put on him, you're doing pretty well right there. You can muscle up and get him uncomfortable. And that's what you got to do. You got to make Joker uncomfortable. You make him uncomfortable, you can beat the rest of the you can beat the Denver. You have to get him uncomfortable. And we've proven that already this season of how to beat him. So to me, Denver doesn't scare me as much as they did before. As long as Lively's healthy. You got to have Gafford and Lively healthy, though. If you don't have them both healthy, I'm a little worried. But if you have them both healthy, I feel confident going into a series against Denver. I'm not afraid of them.
Or it could be Minnesota for the number 1 seed.
And it absolutely could, especially since there are rumors that Cat could be coming back for
yes,
here at the end of the season.
He should be back at the start of the postseason.
You've just been sitting there just waiting on this.
I'm
ready to jump on. You're like a Jack in the Box. You were just ready for us to make that little turn for you to pop out and go, hey, Timberwolves.
Yeah, does that give him enough conditioning and time and for this team to resync like it was at the start of this year?
This
with Cat coming back.
This team has been playing fantastic even without
They've been
Cat.
playing fantastic, but I'm saying you're inserting a new element again. You're inserting an element. That's always going to cause disruption.
No, they've won 8 out of their last 10 games.
That doesn't answer the question.
Well, no, is the answer to your question. I mean,
I know they're playing great now.
You think Cat's going to fit seamlessly back in like nothing has happened? There's not going to be any growing pains back in from being there.
Because I think it's not a 2-man show like everyone thought it was. Everyone thought that it's just Anthony Edwards and Cat, and then if one of them goes down, it's all over. Now, but people forget, even though he didn't have a good year last year, Rudy Gobert is having a hell of a year this year, and he's a candidate for defensive player.
And he hasn't punched anybody yet.
No,
that's very true.
He's got 19 and 16 tonight. Anthony Edwards dropped 51 points. And what a huge game we have tomorrow. We have Minnesota going against Denver tomorrow night.
Is that game on the national broadcast? It should be.
That is on
ESPN?
That's on
ESPN. I'm going to be tuning into that one.
Right.
I got to tune into that one.
You got to watch that one.
Could very well determine the number 1 seed in the West, with Oklahoma City being a game back as well. So that game is beyond huge tomorrow, and I cannot wait for that game. I mean, that's what the NBA regular season should be all about, is competitive regular season games, and you're going to get that tomorrow night. That's going to be a playoff caliber game tomorrow night.
The West this year is shown.
I mean, right now the Timberwolves and Nuggets are tied for that first spot, with a tiebreaker going to the Wolves.
And the Western Conference this year is showing why you people should care about the regular season. Like, the Western Conference is given a reason to care about the regular season. The East is not, because Boston's just destroyed everyone. No one believes anybody but Boston's going to come out. Now, that happened last year, and we know what happened, but still. But the West is actually, there's so much parity all the way still through. I mean, yes, you have Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and Denver, who have clinched playoff spots, but everyone below that could still fall into the play-in. Like, there's still so much parity going through all that. I mean, you go on a 2-game losing streak, even as the Mavericks at 5th seed, you go on a 2-game losing streak, you could end up being the 9th seed. You've got to
Yeah.
win all the way out. I mean, these make these last games
Mhm.
important for every single team in the West. And the East doesn't really matter. So
No, not with
it
Boston.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Especially we don't know what's going to happen to Giannis either.
Yes, very true. Very, very
That's
true.
going to be something to keep eyes out for. Definitely keep our eyes out for that. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and take a quick break here, and we'll be back here in a moment as we get into one of my favorite times of the year, the Masters, coming up this weekend. And welcome back from the break. We've talked a lot of basketball here to start out the whole podcast. And now it's time to move into one of the best times in my year, the Masters, coming up this weekend.
big
The
tournament.
Super Bowl. It is the Super Bowl of golf.
Super Bowl of golf.
That's what it is. Anyone who wants to argue that can just shut up. This is the biggest tournament. I mean, and with golf, it's not the very last tournament like everything else is, but this is the biggest just because of the prestige. Winning that green jacket is just
golfer's dream
there's
of.
nothing
Little
like
golfer's
it.
dream of.
it is. And I mean, you're not allowed to bring your phone when you go. If you go actually get tickets to go out, you've got to sit there and experience it.
As you
But
should.
people don't do. You go and experience golf and just watch the
What?
rounds. Yeah, no, you don't get your phone.
Yeah,
I mean,
you get to survive. Yeah, you get to live without your phone. Is it a novel?
So I get my alcohol.
well, anyways, the Masters coming up. Cannot wait for this. This is one of my highlights of the golf year. I absolutely love this tournament. It's one of my absolutely favorites. And I wanted to bring up, as I was looking earlier today about on the Masters app. They actually have their own app separate from the PGA. Of course they do.
Mhm.
Go ahead and look it up if you'd like to, and you can double check me on this because this is where I'm getting the information from. But they had a list of all golfers who are participating, the
Mhm.
amateurs that have made the tournament. There are 5 of them that are there. The professionals, and who they have listed as their favorites to win. We're going to go through those favorites right now and have our discussion along with that. From the Masters app, from their own, from the horse's mouth, as you would say. Tony Finau, Victor Hovland, Brooks Koepka, Collin Morikawa, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, Tigala Thigala, and Justin Thomas as their favorites to win this year's Masters, which is the 75th year of the Masters.
And where's Jon Rahm?
That is my number one question as well. Jon Rahm, the reigning green jacket holder, is right now asking why wants to only play 72 holes.
Lazy
Oh,
Since he's
motherfucker.
left over to lift, he only wants to play 72 holes and not
well,
being
maybe
ranked
he'll
as
go
the
to
favorite.
Live. Maybe he'll go to Live then if he only
Well,
wants to play.
don't sit there and hold Live
Mhm.
out
He'll go
as
to
the
Live.
reason why he's not being
He'll
held to
go to
that
Live.
standard, because Brooks Koepka
I
went to
know
Live
Brooks
long
Koepka
before
on
he
there,
did.
but I'm just talking about the 54
Mhm.
hole argument. That just like in verse 72. If you wanted to play 72, then you should have stayed on the freaking tour. Sorry that you went to Live and you're not getting the full experience. What do you think was going to happen? That they're just automatically going to change the rules because you showed up?
I
What a
agree.
naive
Everybody that went to
dumbass.
Live, that if you come back to these big tournaments, you have to play at that, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. You made the choice to leave. I've said it multiple times with the Live guys. You left for the money. That's fine. I'm not faulting anyone for getting paid. If I'm getting offered that kind of money, I'm fucking taking it. It's happening.
Right.
I'm taking the money. I don't care what you have to say. I'm
But
taking
don't
that money.
cry and complain about it.
No. When it comes
agreed,
down to
yeah.
it, then when it comes back to it and says, well, hey, I
Like
took
if
the
you're
money.
gonna be
So
the villain and go for the money and do
Go
that
for
thing, you can't. Yeah, I mean, go
But
for it,
own
but
it.
don't cry. Yeah,
you cannot say afterwards, oh, we need to change it because of me. No.
Yeah.
You made the choice. You could have stayed at PGA, but you took the money, which is no one's, hey, I don't
Yeah.
fault you at all. Take the money. Take the money. Do it every time. Take the money. But
Mhm.
I found it very surprising that Rahm wasn't in the favorites list. Yeah, I haven't kept up with Liv as much this year as I have the last couple of years, so I haven't seen how well he's been doing.
You're a
But
Liv trader. I thought you were all about Liv.
I will come through this computer and slap the taste out of your mouth. Anyways, what my surprising is, why the hell is Justin Thomas ranked as a favorite to win the Masters when he has not played a single good round of golf in over 2 years? This is absurd.
I have no
Absurd.
reason.
I mean, we can look. Everyone who hates Liv can hate on the whole Liv thing and everything. Koepka is in Liv. He's been in Liv longer than Rob, and he's ranked as a favorite. This is absurd to have him in there. Spieth, okay, I can understand.
Well, do you think
Spieth
this is the
has won.
Masters kind of being a little bit of, hey, you want to play 72 and mock us? We're going to leave you off this on our list.
Oh, but they
I
have
don't
Koepka
know.
on there.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying,
that's what I'm
Koepka's
saying.
not saying anything about playing that many holes. Rahm is.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, Koepka hasn't said anything about that because the Masters is the crown jewel to him. This is the one tournament he has not been able to take. This is the one he needs to get out to have, everything.
Yeah,
He needs
be
to
one
have
of the
this one.
greatest in golf history.
Yeah, and honestly, as much as I like Brooks Koepka, I am a huge fan. Have been before he went to Live. But for him to be put in that upper echelon, he has to win the Masters. That's the one that's eluded him his entire career. This is the one that's going to be his unicorn if he does not get it. And if you're a fan of the movie Gone in 60 Seconds, his Eleanor. This is going to be his Eleanor. He has to win the Masters. And that's at least, and at first when he went to Live, I thought, okay, he's got to win it, in the next, few years, or he's going to lose his eligibility. The Masters are not going to let these great players who left for Live not play in their tournament. They have that opportunity to extend the bid to whoever they want to, whenever they want to. He was never never had to worry about not getting a bid extended to him unless his play just dropped so far that he wouldn't even make a cut.
Right.
Which, speaking of cuts, Tiger Woods has come out saying that he will make the cut this year at the Masters. That is his goal, is to make the cut.
Sad that that's his goal now, but I mean, it's understandable where he's at.
Is still to win,
at this time in his career, if he can make the cut, that is a victory.
And maybe this is a stepping stone. He's like, this is my first target. Kind of like UConn's like, hey, we're gonna first get that Big East tournament championship, then we're gonna go for this trophy and then this trophy. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's psyching himself up, saying, I just have to make the cut. Then I've got to make the top 3.
Last year was the first time he hadn't made the cut. But it's the only time I think he hasn't made the cut. But it was done. But it was because of it. He got out because of injury last year.
He withdrew, but he still made the cut, though.
Oh, he made the cut.
Okay. And so what?
Well, that's a weird thing to say, then.
And so what Tiger is trying to do, he's trying to become the player with the most consecutive made cuts in Masters history. Gary Player and Fred Couples are the only ones that are tied with him, I believe, at like 25 or 26. And if Tiger makes the cut one more time, he'll have that record.
He takes that, and that's at his point in his career. That is going to mean more to him than anything else. That means more to him than anything else right now. He
true.
knows he's not going to be able to compete with Scotty Scheffler right now. He's not. Scotty Scheffler's #1 golfer in the world. Has been. I mean, if he could, maybe make a putt or two. Good
Jesus.
God, if Scotty Scheffler could putt,
He's unbeatable. He is essentially
Tiger Woods
in
would be
that
worried
way.
about his legacy right now. If he could actually putt, that's the
Mhm.
thing. He cannot putt. If you're learning, if you have kids getting into golf, like I know my kids are interested, I'm going to try to kind of lean them that way. Have them learn to putt. Learn to putt. You can drive the ball like hell later on. You can learn that later. Learn to putt. Ask John Daly. John Daly has asked, what do you need to do to learn how to golf? Learn how to putt. You can learn everything else later. Learn how to putt. You have to learn how to putt. God, I love Scotty. I'm a big fan of Scotty. The guy, he needs a putting guru. He needs something. Like, it's ridiculous how many putts he misses.
And including Houston 2 weeks ago when he had a chance to win and go to a playoff, missed a
On day two when he double bogeyed 18.
Yeah, missed a putt
what
less
the
than
hell?
2 feet away. All right, so who is your pick to win? Or how about this? You could have like a pick, and then a dark horse, then a wild card.
Okay, I like that. Let's say pick. I'm gonna have to go with Scotty. Scotty's #1 golfer in the world, even though I just hated on his putting game. Got to go with Scotty as my pick. My wild card, I'm gonna go with Brooks Koepka because, as I said earlier, this is his unicorn. This is what he needs to go with. He is at a disadvantage just because of the way the live rules are. So that's why I'm making him the wild card. But I think he's going to show up on this one. I said that last year and he didn't, but yeah, he's only got a couple years left. So I think if he's going to win, it's going to be either this year or next year. So he's going to be my wild card. My dark horse. I'm going to go with I'm gonna go ahead and go with Tony Finau.
Oh, okay.
I really like Tony Finau. I like the way that he's been playing. I think that if he could come out and get a win here at the Masters, that could really help propel his career because he's been very solid. He's been in top 10 finishes in multiple of the big tournaments. He's been winning some of the smaller tournaments, but he hasn't won here in a while. It's been a while. He's been in the top 10, but he hasn't won a tournament here in a while. And I think this could be one that could really, really propel his career and really get him going. I just think he's a good guy. I think he plays really well out there. And I think Tony Finau could be a dark horse. And then also putting in that kind of a double dark horse, Theegala as well.
You don't get
Theegala's
two.
Really, I am taking two. I will do what I want. Theegala, if I didn't pick Finau, I would pick Theegala. It was close between the two. I was going between the two. I'm going Finau over Theegala, but I wouldn't be surprised if Theegala was the other dark horse. I'm saying.
I'd have to honestly switch your first two for mine. I think Koepka's going to pull this one out. I think this is going to be his year.
Hope he does. But I'm a huge Scotty fan. I'm a huge Brooks fan. I'd
put him second right now. Yeah. Or it's my wild card. My dark horse, I'm going to go Spieth because he's the Texas boy and I want him back in there. But
I would like that, but Spieth,
yeah.
You can't trust him. You can't. He is not given reason to trust to win this.
That'd be true.
But it's a good dark horse pick. That's the reason why.
That's the reason he's a dark horse for sure.
And I hope you're right on your favorite. I hope you're right on Koepka. I really do. I want Koepka to win this championship so bad. I really want him to win it. I want him to get all the majors. All right, Jeff, your turn. What you got?
Oh, this is tough. But I'll go ahead and do it. So my pick is going to be Xander Schauffele,
Oh,
because
Ooh.
piece of candy.
he has been so close so many times in majors, including
Xander
Augusta.
Schauffele has been the most recent Jordan Spieth.
He's
what he's
been a
been.
bridesmaid a lot. He's been a bridesmaid a lot.
He's
and
never the
and
bride.
should've-
He's the bridesmaid every damn time. He's had so many opportunities. Okay, I like
and
the
I think
pick.
he's
I
going
like
to
the pick because I
close it
like him.
finally.
Hey,
Finally close the deal. He's
you
going
know
to
what?
do
And
it this week at Augusta.
if he does it, if he wins the Masters, I'm a-okay with that because I like Xander Schauffele. I think he's completely, like, as you said, been the bridesmaid every single time, and he needs to be the bride. I don't see it happening though, because until he actually does it, I'm not going to believe that he does it. But I like the pick. I really like that pick. I do. Go for it.
And as much as this pains me to say as a dark horse, considering he's a live guy, is Joaquin Neiman. He's been playing really well on
The
the
Chilean.
live as of late. As we discussed, he got the special invitation from Augusta. They don't hand those out just for the hell of it. And he had a
That
good
is an
finish.
interesting pick because I mean, before he went over to live, he was really moving up the ranks there in the PGA, and it was kind of a surprise that he was one of the ones that jumped over. So
Right, and he's
yeah.
won twice
Mhm.
on live this year,
Yep.
and he was in a playoff in another live event.
He's
So
he's a really solid golfer. I really do. I do. He's easily forgettable though because he hasn't won anything huge. That's the thing. But
Yeah.
he's always been consistent. He's always been consistent. So, oh, that's a good dark horse. Who's your wild card?
in my wild card, it's kind of hard to say that he's a wild card because he's ninth in the world, but he is so young and has never played in a major before. Is Ludvig Oberg out of Sweden?
Are you making these names up
Olberg.
No,
on display?
I wish he was, but actually he's not.
no.
Yeah.
And he has had such a meteoric rise starting in the fall of this year. He won the Omega European Masters, which is
Yes,
a
he did.
huge European Tour event, which got him on the Ryder Cup, and he performed marvelously at the Ryder Cup
Yes, he
at
did.
such a young
He looked
age.
good.
Then he won on the PGA Tour in South Georgia. He looked pretty good at times last year, or last week, excuse me, in San Antonio. This guy is he's probably not going to get it done this year, but watch out for Ludvig Oberg in the future because this guy has all the tools to play well.
You
But
took the words out of my mouth.
he is my wild card right now.
You took the words out of my mouth. I don't see him being a threat this year, but next year, if he continues going like he's going, I could absolutely see him being a bigger wild card next year. But this year, maybe, hey, beginner's luck. He might be able to get out there and actually show something. So that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye out for. And we'll definitely have our recap of the Masters on next week's episode. I'm looking forward to that, talking about how the whole weekend goes. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to. While I'm rolling around to work, I'll have YouTube TV going so I can listen on my phone and listen to the whole every round. I'm really, really looking forward to this. I mean, Masters is always great. It's golf tour. I pay attention to quite a bit of golf, but Masters always I don't usually always pay attention to the first two rounds. I mean, I'll go back and check on them to see who made the cut and see where the cut's going to be and kind of check on that. But I don't sit there and follow them as thoroughly as I do with the Masters. It's just
right, exactly. It's the reality.
It's
the Super Bowl of golf, and it transcends. Even if you're not a golf fan, you still gotta watch the Masters.
Keep up with it. You still at least keep up with it. So.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll take just a quick break here, and we'll be back with the Sports Gumbo here in just a moment.
Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back for the break as we're ready to hit the sports gumbo, where we're going to hit everything that we have not been able to touch up here to this point. And the big thing we want to talk to and jump into right now are the Texas Rangers. Your Texas Rangers. World Series champions.
They
Texas
started out
Rangers.
so hot. Then we split that series to Houston.
We did.
I
We
still
split the
can't believe we
series
let Blanco
2-2 with
set
Houston.
a freaking record for the most consecutive hitless innings to start a season at 14 2/3. I'm very upset with us for
The
that.
guy is hot.
He is, but
He's hot.
still pissed. I don't like to give the Astros anything, much less split
Now,
a series. Especially we won the
I-
first two by like 10-2 and 7-3. Like,
I hate that as
could
well.
we
But look,
not finish this out?
this is something here that I wanted to bring up, and you already jumped right here into this. In that, Houston's bullpen looked atrocious before they came up against the Rangers. Like, they were one of the worst bullpens in the league to that point.
Our party starting
However-
pitching was pretty bad too.
However, when Houston played the Rangers, they gave up one run in this 4-game series. The bullpen gave up one run and 5 hits against Texas, and the only run they gave up was when Foscue hit that one run to knock in Adolis Garcia in the 9th inning, and Hader gave that one up. Their bullpen turned it around and came out to show up against Texas, which you didn't
Typical.
expect it to do. But
Yeah.
going into the series, their bullpen was one of the worst bullpens going in the entire league. So coming in, you felt confident against it. They weren't looking like they were, but they showed up there against Texas. That's one thing. And that was one stat I wanted to bring out right there, that the bullpen shut down. Now, you're not going to expect that the entire time, especially with the lineup the Rangers have. Sometimes pitching will get to you. That's going to happen. They didn't get the last 2 games. They haven't had, before the 5-run second, third inning they had today. They didn't get a single run after. They didn't get a single, double base hit or multiple base hit after that. That's rare. That's going to happen. I mean, just sometimes you're going to run into a brick wall. It happens. It's early in the season, and you look at the injuries that we're having. And talking of injuries, Foscue got injured. He's probably going to be out to a month to 2 months after coming up, which that one hurts really badly.
Durant's going to be most likely our starting third baseman, I think.
He needs to be. He hasn't given any reason why he shouldn't be. That sucks that Young's out. To me, everyone's already people aren't already jumping on the woe was me injury train yet, but we knew we had the injuries in pitching before the season even started. But we've had so many injuries here at the beginning. Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Young. Young's freak injury, but it's a freak injury. But you've had these injuries, Foscue now going down. And to me, if we're going to have our injury bug hit us, let's hit it now. Let's hit it at the beginning of the season. Because, yes, we've gone 2-2 against the Stros.
Yeah, the Stros are still 4-8.
They are 4-8.
As of today.
That's fine. You split the series. You didn't win it, but you split the series. Now, it sucked that we lost today to the A's 4-3 by giving up 3 home runs to one guy.
Yeah.
But
that hurt us. Moved us down to second place in the division, too.
It did.
6-5. Angels are now on top. Surprisingly, the Angels are on top.
Yeah, but they're not going to hold it. They don't have the team.
Oh, no. I was expecting Seattle, honestly, to be up there, but
hey, we're dealing with injuries. We're dealing with things that happens right now. This is the time you want to have it. We'll get some wins coming up through. Win series. That's all you have to do is win series. Okay, we lost the first game against Oakland. That's fine. Win the next 2. Win the series. If you win 2 out of 3 of every series, you're going to have the best record ever in baseball.
Right.
That's what you're going to do. Hey, there he is. Hey, Jeff.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Very
what you
true.
missed is what I said is that, hey, we lost against Oakland. You went 2-2 against Houston. It sucked. And it sucks that you lost tonight against Oakland. Or you know what? I'm going to quit saying Oakland. I'm just going to say the A's until we figure out exactly where they're going to be.
They're going to be in Sacramento, I think, is where they're supposedly going to be their temporary ones until the Las Vegas A's.
You lost tonight against the A's, but you lost in a game that one guy hit 3 home runs. That doesn't happen every day. So
it was a good day by Shea Langeliers.
Yeah, Shea Langeliers, one random guy. That is just so
I'm
weird.
making up names.
It is weird. Yeah. Every guy has their day, but all you got to do, okay, whatever. Win the next 2 games, you win the series. If you win every series, you win 2 of 3 out of every series, you win every series, you're going to have the best record ever in baseball. That's all you got to do.
Oh, of course. You're exactly right.
You win every series. You win every single series, you're going to have the best record that has ever been posted in baseball. Because that doesn't happen. Just keep winning series. That's all you have to do. Win your series. You're going to lose a series here and there. As long as you don't go on a drought where you're losing 5, 6, 7 series in a row, then then you can start fiddling with that panic button. Maybe, touching your fingers over to it going, hey, what's going on here? What's going on?
But yeah, the only thing that sucks is just
a bug. It sucked. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it sucks to lose an Eovaldi start tonight. And it was a good start. That's what's
it does suck to lose an Eovaldi start because Eovaldi is your best pitcher until you get some help later on with Scherzer coming back later. If you get DeGrom back.
I mean, that's not to say Dunning and Bradford have not done their jobs to start the season, though.
Dunning hasn't looked terrible. He has not looked terrible. Okay. Dunning has done what he's needed to do. Haney has not looked good.
Oh,
Haney has.
I could have told you that in all honesty. I could have told you that one. No,
well, true. But Dunning has looked better than what was expected. I expected less out of Dunning starting out the season.
I knew he would be okay to me personally.
I knew he'd be okay, but he's done better than what I thought he would have done to this point. So I'm okay with Dunning. I'm okay. Dunning has done his job to me. Haney needs some work. Gray's still looking good to me so far. Gray could do better, but I'm okay with Gray. I'm okay with it right now. But Eovaldi, you hate that that's how it goes because but you can't win. You can't win them all. That's just in the baseball season. It's the marathon. It's not a sprint. You can't win them all, but you want to feel good. At least Eovaldi had you feeling good going through the game, and that's what you want from him. Just that you have an opportunity to win. When Eovaldi leaves the game, you still feel like you will have an opportunity to win this game, and he's giving you that up to this point. So that's all you can expect from him. That's all you can expect. When you don't expect Nathan Eovaldi to be your best pitcher. I mean, if you expect him from the get-go to be your number one, you want to. I want to because I have a lot of respect for Nathan Eovaldi because he won us the World Series. Was part of that. Part that won us the World Series. I mean, he put in a good 6 innings there to help get us there to win that game. And I feel confident, and he feels confident. But I like Nathan Eovaldi as my number 2, possibly my number 3, especially if you have DeGrom and Scherzer healthy, and you can then trot Nathan Eovaldi out as your 3rd starter. You feel a lot more confident in that aspect because that's a sick lineup. But I mean,
it holds up.
It's going to happen. So. I mean. That's what you hope. That's what Ranger fans we have to hope for. That's why we signed these guys. That's what we signed up for. We knew their injury history. We knew what was going to happen. I mean, Scherzer, we weren't expecting this injury, but DeGrom, we were. So no surprise to me. But
And,
you
and
can get these
also,
guys back, and you can have Evaldi as your third.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also too, what I'm looking forward to is Michael Lorenzen. He's making another rehab start who he picked up in the off season for the Phillies.
Yes, I'm
and
looking forward to him as well too.
and have him replace Heaney, who's been god awful so far. So if that will help some, I think.
As long as he's pitching like he did for Detroit,
For
absolutely.
the Detroit, yes, we
If we can
make
get
it clear we want
Detroit
version of
Lorenzen,
Lorenzen.
then if we have Detroit Lorenzen, then you get DeGrom and you get Scherzer back. There's our top four right there. We're done. We're set.
And that's and he was an all-star for Detroit last year.
Yes, he was.
And then when he went to Philadelphia,
I
he was
made that.
god-awful.
I made that argument last week.
I know.
Last week I made that argument that I'm very happy with that sign. I was very happy about getting him. And I go, if we didn't get Hader, if we did not get Hader, what we got for him, and I was willing to make that sacrifice because that was a very small risk to a heavy reward. And that's to me, I'm all for that. I'm for low risk, heavy reward. I'm all for that.
They need
every
him more
single time.
more than ever after what's transpired so far. I mean, obviously we knew we needed him for injuries, but with Heaney's poor play, it's a must.
So, did you both also dog cuss out Hader when you saw him come up on TV? Like I did? Because I dog cussed him.
To me, it's the Rangers executives and Rangers management's fault, not Hader's fault that he didn't get paid by them. And
no, he went to the evil empire to me. To me,
I'm not cheering for him by any means. Yeah,
I dog cussed him. I dog cussed him.
Well, I saw. For letting him go.
Remember when he signed with the Astros? I said I hope his arm falls off.
I know.
Right, and so with Hader
in the game, my wife is sitting next to me, and I yelled out, "I hope your arm falls off." She goes, "Did you just wish his arm to fall off?" I go, "Absolutely," and I hope it does it twice.
And he's looked awful so far. It's been fantastic.
Except when he went against the Rangers. He looked good against the Rangers, except for that one shot to Foscue that he got a hold of and was able to knock in Garcia. That he's looked good against the Rangers. Yes, he sucked up to that point, but I don't know. Maybe I need to do some different juju because he looks good against the Rangers. So maybe I need to.
But other than that, he's looked terrible. So
yes, but we need to look bad against the Rangers.
Well, yes, most importantly. But I think at the end of the day, I still think the Astros were dumb to give him that much money. You don't give five.
We'll see how that ends up.
You don't give 5 years, $95 million for a closer who's just turned 30. You just don't do that. So
I don't know. I would have loved Rangers.
We'll see how that goes.
I mean, I would have loved to have Josh Hader, but not for that price. Sorry.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and pivot over.
We're going to mosey on over.
Head over to the NHL and the red hot Dallas Stars.
Yes.
Wow. Leading the entire Western Conference and putting a stamp on why they lead it, as they were able to knock off the Colorado Avalanche 7-4 this weekend.
Yeah.
And
big win.
Wow. I got to watch this game. It was on ESPN. It was fantastic to watch. Actually, I got to watch it on the big TV because we had wife and I had nothing to watch. And she goes, "What do you want to watch?" "Oh, we don't have anything." I go, "Well, I'm just saying the Stars are on. Wouldn't mind watching that." And she put it on, and we got to watch them just shellac Colorado.
They kicked their ass.
It was
ass whooping from
now
start to finish.
It would have been really just 6-4, but they were able to get that empty net goal there at the end. So, I mean, that helped pad the stats just a little bit, but it was a dominating effort. It looked good, especially against a team that they were vying for the top spot in the West for, and not just the West, just in the division for.
Yeah, the
So being able
division.
to really come out and slap Colorado around, that that it's what they did. They slapped them around. They slapped around, and they did it in Colorado. They did it in Denver. That was the thing. They won this game 7-4, and they won it. They manhandled this game in Denver. That was huge. They were able to take that game, keep their lead over Vancouver, and they're only like a point behind the New York Rangers for the Commissioner's Cup and for the top
Yeah.
record in the league. No one expected that from this team this year. This team is playing extremely well. The young guys, Wyatt Johnson is not in this game. He didn't score in this game, but the game before, he was able to get his 30th goal. He is one of the 5 youngest players to ever get 30 goals in a season. And
Wow.
the Dallas Stars have 8 players who have got 20 goals in a season after Jamie Benn was able to score a goal this last game against Colorado, and that is, I think, one of the first times this ever happened that a team has had 8 players score 20 goals in the season.
And also, too, speaking of
Balanced attack.
of the Avalanche, former Avalanche player Matt Duchene, what a pickup he's been for this team this year.
And that was one thing that, watching the game, it kept getting brought up. Oh, former Avalanche Matt Duchene, which he got a goal.
Anytime you
got a
play
goal.
your former team, they're going to mention
got a
you
goal
like
assist.
6 times,
Well,
60 times.
That's true. However, he spent all of half of this season and last season with the Nashville Predators. So it's not like he got traded from Colorado to Dallas mid-season, and now he's going against his former team. It is his former team, but it's been he left.
There's a team in between. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying like
and it
there's
kept being
rivalry.
brought up during the broadcast of, he's
just bad
going against his former
broadcasting,
team, and it's like
They couldn't think of other
here's what-
things to talk about or bring
That's
up.
what it was. They had nothing else to talk about on that. But that's the whole thing, is that he had a team in between. Okay, if you're playing Nashville and they're beating him, well, this is his former team. Okay, yes, he spent he spent more of his career in Colorado. I understand. But the fact that they said it one time, oh yeah, he went from Colorado, then signed a free agency deal with Nashville, was there for a year, and they got year and a couple of months, and then got traded to Dallas, or he got cut and then got picked up by Dallas and is now succeeding. Okay, but quit saying that, against his former team, former Colorado, he formerly played for the Avalanche. Okay, we get it. He did, but it's been over a year since he's been with this team. There's been changes to that team since he's been there.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Come on.
I don't disagree with you.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. But I was just saying to the point that he's been a valuable piece to this.
No, he's absolutely been, since they brought him in. My favorite interview they had with him was right after he scored his goal there against the Avalanche in the first period. They interviewed him in the first intermission and said, "Oh, you haven't had a goal in 17 games." He goes, "Well, technically it's been 9, but okay, if you want to say 17, the 9 games beforehand, he scored a empty net goal."
Right.
So technically it had been that, but he goes, "I understand where you're coming from." Actually, but you can see he was like, "Come on, really you calling me out here on the national broadcast?"
Yeah.
But I like that because, now he's now more motivated. He's going to be after that, like, okay, now I'm going to score another goal. I think he's been fantastic. You put him on those later, the third, fourth line. He's a guy you need. He's been fantastic.
And I think he's provided leadership for this team, because I think after what happened last year with Jamie Benn freaking out in the playoffs with that penalty Tyler Sagan's
Yep.
never been the leadership kind of type. Matt Duchene is
Sagan
that role.
Sagan was always meant to be the number 2, but he's really a number 3, number 4. And now
Right.
that he's accepted that role as the 3 and 4 with the emergence of Rope Hintz, which I was praising him last year, still praising him this year, with the emergence of Wyatt Johnston this year.
Logan
these guys-
Stankoven's another one.
And everyone forgets
Like I said, it's
Mero
just a
Heiskanen.
balanced attack.
Everyone
And Heiskanen.
forgets Heiskanen. Heiskanen, it's back there. He's one of the top defenders in the league, and people forget about him
Right.
because of everyone on the front line of this Dallas team.
Well, also too, the Chris Tanev pickup at the deadline.
Yes.
What a great defensive pickup that's been for him.
This team is well coached. They play well. They play well together. They have the mentality. This is the team. Like normally, like this isn't like Boston getting knocked out by Florida. This isn't this team seems different than that team.
Yeah.
This is a team to worry about, and I don't see that happening when that comes out. We've talked about, everybody says, which I also say, hey, the NHL playoffs are my favorite playoffs because there's so much you don't know. An 8 seed can knock out a 1 seed at any time. Anything can happen. Normally, when you see these 8 seeds knocking out a 1 seed, you see there's something weird with the 1 seed. Like they're good, but there's something weird with them. I don't see this with Star Seed. Maybe I'm doing it because I have rose-colored glasses.
It's my team. Rose-colored glasses on.
There is a high possibility that I could be seeing them in that way. There's a high possibility.
However, like I said, I mean, you got 8 guys scoring 20 goals in a season.
That's the first time that's ever happened on a single NHL team.
Right.
That's impressive. This team is scary good. They're deep. They're deep. All 4 lines they can hit you with. And when Jake
Oettinger can stay healthy.
Well, that's the thing. As long as Jake, believe in Jake, believe in the Otter.
Well,
as long as he's healthy, you're safe. He may give up a couple of goals, but like in that game with Colorado, he gave up 4 goals. But he knew he could, and those a few of those came later on. They were up. I think they got it was 5-4 is the closest that they got. When they got the 4th one, they were still up 5-4, and they ended up scoring 2 more after that. One of them being an empty netter.
Yeah, I think Chris, you hit the nail on the head. The difference between this team and other teams is all 4 lines can score. I mean, all 4 lines are effective, unlike other teams in the past.
They're scary offensively. They are. And when Oettinger, and I will tell you right now, when it comes down to a playoff series, give me Jake Oettinger in net. I will take him any day. Any day. I'll take him. He's 6'5". A 6'5" goalie. Done. Set. I'll take him. So you give me a 6'5" goaltender.
I want a sumo wrestler goaltender. That's what I want.
That's basically what you have. You have that, and you have
I can move
4 lines that I know that are going to be a complete terror to the other goaltender. Okay, sold. Not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but
they can.
I'm not surprised if they don't.
I'm surprised if
they don't.
Yeah,
I'm surprised if they don't. Like I think that they have a very, very good chance to win the Stanley Cup.
I think so too.
And that's barring just them getting in their own way. I think if they get in their own way and get in their own head, that they won't win it. But there's no team in the West that I'm afraid of. There's no team in the East I'm afraid of. I think they match up well with any team. I think they have built a team that matches up to anyone and that they can beat with.
And I think
So-
that Avalanche win cemented it for me.
Same.
I'm not afraid of anyone anymore.
The way that they played against Colorado,
On
even
the
when
road.
it got close on the road,
on the way ice.
just the way that they played, the way that even when it got close, the team didn't get frazzled. Andre, even after giving up 4 goals, did not, like, he was out there like, okay, you got 4 past me, you're not getting another one. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And the mentality of this team brought down the higher ups. I think we're gonna have some fun hockey playoff watching for the Dallas area.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really enjoying into it. I mean, I don't watch a lot of the NBA playoffs. I watch the Mavericks when they're in, but I do watch other games outside the Stars when it comes to the NHL playoffs. I'm a big Stanley Cup playoff fan. I just think it's the best hockey you see all year long. But this is going to be one to watch. If you're a Stars fan, be ready to go because this is going to be a fun one to watch. I think we've got a very good chance this year.
What's your
We got
favorite?
a good chance. I'm not saying we're going to win. But I have a good chance. I feel like we've got a very good chance to win.
What are your in-laws going to do if it's a Stars Rangers or a Stars Devils final?
Well, that's the thing is my father-in-law is actually a Philadelphia Flyers fan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so yeah.
And they're not threatening, obviously.
No, they have a chance to make it, but they're fighting the Penguins, who the Penguins should not even be in the equation whatsoever. But they have played their way into possibly getting to the playoffs. That is a team to watch.
And you
What
can
they've
think
been
overtime losses for that, the overtime loss rule.
What they've been doing to get in is very, very impressive. They're on the cusp of getting in when everybody had them written off a month ago. A month ago, they had no chance. There was no way they were going to make it to the playoffs. And now they're right there in the opportunity. Like they're one of the top teams to make the final last wild card position. It's pretty impressive. A lot of it's been Sidney Crosby, what he's played up to this point. But
yeah,
hey, we'll see how it goes.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of. Let's see. One thing that's just bugging me right now. I just pulled up the favorites on Bova to win the Stanley Cup, and this infuriates me. They have Edmonton, even though they only have 99 points, ahead of the Stars as well.
Connor
as
McGovern.
Connor
McGovern's the reason why.
He's the only reason why.
He is. And the last 2 times the Stars have played Edmonton, they've shut him down completely and have beaten
And
them.
that's my point. They've beat Edmonton.
Sounds like it's time to put some money on it. Beat Vegas at their own
honestly,
game.
yeah. At this point, hey, go ahead and while we're talking, Jeff, you've already got it looked up. Go ahead and look up what are the odds for the Stars to win the Stanley Cup.
Plus 750. So if you put $100 on the Stars, you win $750.
I may put some money down on them.
Right. Even just putting 10 gets you 75. If you
I would absolutely put 10 down. $10. I put down $10 on the Stars right now. Absolutely, I would.
You got the best bookie in the DFW area right here.
And they had the Avalanche ahead of the Stars as well, which infuriates me after Sunday.
Well, are we sure that's just not updated?
That's Vegas just hedging their bets. I mean, it's easy to bet against a Dallas team.
Oh, another thing that pissed me off about that Stars Avalanche game, maybe it's maybe it's just me and I was biased, but like, did you get the sense that the broadcast was definitely favoring the Avalanche to win that game?
Oh, absolutely. But I also feel that way about every national
That does seem to
broadcast.
be a trend with national broadcasts. They seem to
The
favor
national
the
broadcasts, they
non-Dallas
always
team.
go
They hate
against
the
Dallas
Stars.
teams. It always happens every time.
And the
I
Mad.
do have to say though
And the Rangers.
that in
And
the
the Cowboys.
third period, it was a very even called broadcast. In the third, they were actually talking about the Stars in a very positive way, just as they were about the Avalanche. Now, the first two periods, it was like, oh, the Avalanche have done this. So this is so great. They're just so close to this right there, even though they're losing right now to this point. But in the third, I heard a change in what was going on where there was more credit given to the Stars since they were winning by 3 goals. But I saw a noticeable change in the third period in the broadcasting
Yes.
of what was going on in that ESPN broadcast. So
Right. Too bad we can't hear. Well, if you download the Sports Day app, you might be able to hear Razor.
Ralph and Razor, that was the best time in all of DFW broadcast. And I say that, and I know it's a bold statement with old Brad Sham, there with the Cowboys. I know it's a bold statement, but Ralph and Razor were the best broadcast team that DFW ever had.
Oh, for sure.
They were
Hands down.
fantastic. Oh, you never missed a Stars broadcast with Ralph and Razor. They were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, right behind them, Brad Sham there with the Cowboys. Always good. And then you can't fault old Chuck Cooperstein there with the Mavericks.
Oh,
he always did a
he's
good
still
job
there.
there too.
He's
And then
still
Eric
there.
Nadell.
And he's still going too.
All right. Well, do you guys have any other news here in the gumbo you guys wanted to talk about? Any other things?
I think that's it.
I think we're good. I think
scratch any itches we need to scratch.
Well, maybe we could alert our audience that we may be focusing some more on NFL draft, which is coming up in a little over a couple of weeks. So that's something.
Well, we do have the draft coming up. We'll put some little notices on that. Just we'll throw in some little speaks in of what we're thinking about coming up, especially with what our teams will be drafting, or we think our teams will be drafting. But yeah, we'll have a little more focus as that gets closer coming up here. But yeah, we're hitting a little spot. We'll be doing a lot of different little takes on sports. We've got, of course, the Masters coming up next week. We've got horse racing coming up here with the Kentucky Derby coming up in early May. Always good with that. Baseball, of course, will be going strong all through this. So, I mean, lots of different things we'll be able to talk about. Of course, if there's any other different topics or different things you'd like to hear our opinion on, please reach out to us on our social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you. Any other little areas we got coming up? We've got the Baseball College World Series coming up. There's lots of different things that are coming up, and we'll get some other things going along with that as well. So, for Caleb Gold, for Jeff Havens, this is Chris Porter. We'd love to thank all of you for joining us here on the Next Round Sports, and we'll see you next week on the next round. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers.